Hey everybody, I'm live as John Hope Bryant, founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope, which is America's first and only nonprofit financial services network for the poor, the underserved, the struggling class, the teetering class, basically folks with too much month at the end of their money. That means you and me. No matter how much money you make, you can find a way to spend it. Somebody will find a way, if you're not financially literate, to separate you from your wallet. That is, in a house divided cannot stand. That's biblical. I see the audience is building. Good morning, Jerry Mickle. Hello, Brandon Love. Good morning to you. Love back, Dontario. Good morning. I see the audience is building. Let me, Otis, Mississippi. Sanders, good morning. Veronica Alston, good morning. And wherever you are around the world, I love you, sending you silver rights, hope, and light to you. Hello, Melissa. Hey, Amr, my partner in Saudi Arabia. Good morning with you with Setco Holdings, where I work there to empower women and college students with optionality in Saudi. So we create entrepreneurs and help to solve the job problem there. Good morning, Myra Key, Eric, Steve Jenkins, Lisa Diggs, Will Omer. Okay, Damien, hello. So I've authored a couple books, How the Poor Can Save Capitalism, Love, Leadership, Banking Our Future, a few others. You can get them if you're interested. I want you to log on to Hope 700 Credit Score Communities on Facebook this morning and like that page. That's what we're talking about today. I'm introducing a new technology to eradicate poverty in our communities. Soon we'll have 700 Credit Score Community Clubs, and you'll have a chance to participate in those in your community. And no, I'm not driving, by the way. People always say, why is he in the car? Why is he driving on the phone? This is Sir James Buchanan looking irritable this morning, who's my assistant. He's driving. Where are we at? I'm here doing early voting. Go vote. Go vote. I have my Operation Hope symbol on the right, and this morning I'm going to have my voting symbol when I finish. You need to go vote. This is the 20th century version of empowerment. The 20th century version of empowerment was to vote. The right to vote was earned for you by ladies and gentlemen who gave their life so that you could have life. Go vote wherever you are in the world, but certainly here in America, go vote. Now, civil rights builds on civil rights. Without civil rights, there would be no civil rights. Civil rights was waged and won in the streets. Civil rights will be waged and won in the suites. Civil rights really gave their lives from the neck down. Civil rights will win your war from the neck up. Civil rights was about race and the color line. Civil rights will be about class and poverty. We've got to remove the randomness and the emotionalism of color that separates us, black, white, red, brown, and yellow, when the color you really want today is green. So let's talk about something I talked about on Roland Martin's show that really excited a lot of people, and I want to give Roland some love and thank him for inspiring me to do this series on Facebook, which now has over 14 million views. Boom! So thank you, Roland, and thank you, audience, for loving this series and following Civil Rights Straight Talk series with Operation Hope. So 700 Credit Score Communities Don't Riot. That's a provocative title, but it's also one of the keys to building wealth in our community and stabilizing our community. What if I told you that you can take the race and racism issues out of our problems? What if I told you you can take the bias out of our problems? What if I told you that even in spite of police brutality and inequality, you can still rise? What if I told you that there was a technology and a tool that you could use, that you were in charge of, that you could control, that you could see the needle move in your life, in your friend's life, in your husband or wife's life, in your children's life, in your kids' life, in your community's life, and you could see the community transform? What if I told you that you could take your life back? Would you be interested? Of course you would. I think I'm going to see some thumbs up here in a moment. So that's what this is about. 700 credit score communities don't riot. There's never been a riot in a 700 credit score community in America's history. I'm going to repeat that. Yeah, I'm seeing thumbs up. I'll repeat that. There's never been a riot in a 700 credit score community. Yep, you guys like that. In America's history. Not in the black community with 700 credit scores. By the way, I'm in a black community right now. I'm voting. I want you to look at this now. Look at this peace and tranquility. Look at the beauty and the nature of this, right? This is there was a brother we passed by walking, taking his morning walk, African American dude. This is what happens when you have calmness in your life and you have control of your economic situation. And why are credit scores so valuable to that? Because credit scores is not about the credit scores. It's about what the credit scores symbolize. It symbolizes somebody who is financially healthy. It symbolizes somebody who's taking control of their life. It symbolizes somebody who has high self-esteem. It symbolizes somebody who has a high level of wellness. If you have crappy finances, you're going to be arguing with your wife, arguing with your husband. Number one cause for domestic abuse, money. Number one cause for divorce, money. Number one reason why minority kids drop out of college, not academics, money. Number one reason why police officers get hurt on police calls, not robbery, not crime, no, domestic abuse calls, which is about what? Money. What are you dying from? Dying from hypertension, stress. What does the American Heart Association say? The number one cause for heart attacks is stress. What's the number one cause for stress? It's money. What do we don't understand? Money. What didn't we get a lesson in? Money. What did they stop teaching it when I was in school? Home economics. Isn't that right, Sir James?
That's right.
They don't teach home economics anymore in school. That's where I learned financial literacy. What did Lincoln try to do to try to set former slaves free? Teaching them the language of money with the Freedmen's Bank. That's why I'm so focused on the Freedmen's Bank and finishing the work they're doing with Hope Inside. I want you to go to America's Uplift 2020 page for Project 5117. I'm going to start having t-shirts made, Project 5117, hats made, Project 5117, belt buckles. I want you to wear this code with you wherever you go. 5117 is the coding to unlock the power in your life. I'm going to do a separate video to break this down, but basically it's 5 million kids to make smart cool so kids want to stay in school. 1 million kids who've gone through 1,000 of our Hope Business in the Box academies, or America's our Internship America academies, and Banking on Our Future programs to set them free and to unlock their aspirations and give them an identity project. 1,000 Hope Inside locations to raise your credit score to 700, because nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. I'm going to say it again. That's going to be my quote for the day, okay? You like that. Nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. Now, I want you to think about that. If you've got a 500 credit score, I'll come to that in a minute. 700 credit score communities, I'm going to say this again. It's very provocative, right? 700 credit score communities don't riot. There's never been a black community, a Latino community, a white community, an Asian community of 700 credit scores that rioted in America's history, ever. I may ride in this car because Sir James got the windows up and the air conditioning off, and I'm about to turn a darkest shade of black, sweating up in there. He's just doing this stuff to irritate me. I mean, I'm sitting there trying to give some love, and this guy's got me in a pressure chamber of heat. Okay, I mean, I pay him enough to have air conditioning, and he just refuses to turn it on. So I had to just bust him out. Okay, yeah. So he didn't want to. He's so financially literate. He didn't want to use any gas. Sitting here talking to me, so he decided just to let me burn up. Okay, please tell Sir James to get right with the Lord here. That's my man. Okay, he turned the air conditioning on. So back to the message. There's never been a 700 credit score community in all of thank you very much, in all of America's history that want me to put my seatbelt on. Okay, that rioted. Okay, so now why? I've told you a little bit. I thought that was funny. It is funny. You're trying to kill me. Because you get all the benefits of stability at 700 credit scores. You get high self-esteem, high confidence, decent role models, an enabling environment. I've already told you, if you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. Remember I said that? If you hang around 9 drug dealers, you'll be the 10th. If you hang around 9 prostitutes, you're going to be the 10th. If you hang around 9 nuclear scientists, you're likely to be the 10th. You hang around 9 people who go to school, you're likely to be the 10th. That's why I want you to have 700 credit score community clubs. And when you have a 700 credit score, you've got homeowners more than renters. You've got people who not just get jobs, but who create jobs. You have people who write checks and who cut checks, who cash checks and write checks. So 2 different types of people. People who write checks are owners, business owners. You have people who have small businesses and who pay property taxes. When you have property taxes, you have community income for the government. When you have community income for the government, you have community centers like the one we're in here today, where I'm going to vote, that are well supported. They pay for schools, they pay for roads, they pay for gutters. All those property taxes from people who have good credit scores and who contribute to the economy pays to underwrite all the public services in those communities, including law enforcement. And one of the reasons you don't see people getting their rear end whipped up and down the street and being killed by law enforcement in 700 credit score communities is not because people are necessarily thinking differently about you. If you happen to be, let's say, black or a minority, and you have a majority police force that just doesn't relate to you, it's not that they love you, although I don't think they don't love you, right? That they unlove you. It's just that the consequences of messing with you are too high. You got that, Sir James?
I got it.
It's just the consequences of messing with you means they lose their badge, they lose their job, because you're gonna write letters, you're gonna turn them in, because you're a property tax owner, because you're a homeowner, because you're a small business owner, because you're consequential to the economy, because you are hooked up, because you got relationships to power. No one wants to mess with you. Now, no one's gonna tell you what I just said, but I'm telling it to you straight. They mess with poor people, some people who are not good people. Most law enforcement officers are good people, by the way. You probably have law enforcement in your family. But the few people who are not good people, they mess with you in part because they're already coming to work depressed. Their credit score is probably 500 because they're making $48,000 a year as a police officer and getting shot at. Or in some little town making $30,000 as a police officer and getting disrespected and shot at. And maybe they grew up, in a bad situation, and the way they were going to get back was to get a badge and a gun and show you who's boss, because that's the only power they've got. Then they bring that crap to work, and they know that by messing with poor people, no one's going to ever mess with them because there's no consequences. You don't get back at that by operating from the neck down and beating somebody up, throwing a brick, trying to go up against a military force with more force. You're just going to get arrested or killed. But there's never been a terrorism group or a group like that that's rebelled and rose up against the authorities that's ever succeeded in the history of the world. Ever, ever, ever. So it makes you feel good for a moment. You get emotional for a moment. You're like, yeah, but it didn't work. Only thoughtfulness works. Dr. King passed, and his boys, and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the Urban League, and a bunch of other organizations, together they passed 4 civil rights bills. 4, can't count, 4 civil rights bills, calmly, intelligently, using the neck up. And all those brothers, by the way, were middle class. All those women and men, and look at how they're dressed. Look at their education levels in the civil rights movement. They were all highly educated. They all had good credit scores because they lived in middle class neighborhoods. So you can do this because at Operation Hope, we've created a technology called Hope 700 Credit Score Communities, like that page. It's through our Hope Inside locations, like those pages, the Hope Inside network, that's moving credit scores with you 120 points at no cost to you. You hear that? You need to go to an attorney who's going to charge you $5,000 and tell you they're going to fix your credit. They will not. They'll actually put you into bankruptcy. Is that right, Sir James?
That's correct.
We both know friends who've been told by some attorney, give me a few $1,000s and I'll fix your problems. And what they really want to do is tell you to file bankruptcy, Chapter 7 or Chapter 11, right?
Yep.
And they make your problem worse. Do not do that. I'm not charging you a dime. You hear me? I'm not charging you a dime. We're working in banks, corporations, Whole Foods, Hyatt hotels, hospitals, Atlanta Police Department to help the officers there. We're in 35 banks to get the banks out of the no business back into the yes business by getting the credit score from 500, 550, 600, where they cannot say yes to you. Do not be angry at the bank because they cannot say yes to you. They're in the business of making loans. They need to say yes to somebody, but they have to have your credit score over 650, 680, ideally 700. I said something provocative last night at Hope Inside at Ebenezer. I'm going to say it here to you. I was with a group of young entrepreneurs. I don't think any criminal activity is justified. So I'm not justifying that. Here's what I'm saying. I would rather have a 750 credit score and a felony on my record. A felony that I went to prison. I paid my debt to society. I've done my penance, right? But I'd rather have for the rest of my life a felony on my record and a 750 credit score than to have a clean record and a 400 credit score. Did you get that, Sir James?
That's right.
Now, I'm not advocating illegal behavior. In fact, I'm advocating legal behavior. But if you have a 400 credit score, you're being pimped, you're being taken advantage of, and you're going to be forced, unfortunately, to probably engage in some kind of illegal behavior at some point, because you cannot really achieve anything in life, including having a good relationship with your mate with a 400 credit score. Your self-esteem is going to be low, you're going to be depressed, you're going to be unhappy, you're going to be disconnected from society, you're going to then, probably not in school, you probably dropped out of school, you didn't drop into college, and at some point, if you don't have a public record, you're going to get one. So every problem we have is in a sub 500 credit score neighborhood. Let me go back to credit scores for a minute in Operation Hope. So we can consult with you. We got to get your permission. You sign a disclosure. We pull your credit report from all three bureaus: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And then there's a MyFICO score that is an overlay. We find out what your problem is. The bank cannot pull your credit score and tell you what's going on. By law and legal statute, they cannot. Don't get mad at them. They cannot. They'll get sued. All right? But we can, and if we're in the local bank where you're banking, we can actually tell you why you be declined, work with you to get those issues off of your credit report. We're actually moving credit scores 30, 40 points initially. In fact, there's errors in your credit report. I guarantee you, if you have a 400 or 500 credit score, you have errors on your credit report. Why do I know? Because if you check your credit, you don't check your credit. If you checked your credit, you would not have errors on your credit report, and you would not have a 400 or a 500 credit score. The biggest barrier to you is there are errors on your credit report that you don't know about. Empower your life. Check your credit. Just take some Pepto-Bismol, swallow hard, like hold your mouth, and check your credit and go, okay. It's not that bad. My dad's credit was so bad growing up. He said he didn't have credit. He had credit. My dad said his credit was bad. My dad's credit was so bad. His credit was bad. He didn't have credit. He had credit, right? And my dad was a business owner, but unfortunately, my dad, who was brilliant, was not financially literate like my mother, Juanita Smith. So he made money but couldn't keep it. He made $1, he spent $1.50. You guys thought that was funny. The more money we made, the broker we got. The more money we made, the broker we got. And my mother and my dad argued over money all the time, because my mom was a great financial planner, but my dad was too much of a chauvinist, I guess, is the proper word. We know it's something that was in his generation, to take counsel from my mother. Ambassador Andrew Young would say men and women fail for 3 reasons: arrogance, pride, and greed. Arrogance, pride, and greed. Arrogance, pride, and greed. My dad was not greedy, but he was full of pride, and that breeds arrogance. And he would not ask my mother for advice. So my mother could financially. In fact, my mother's now bought and sold 5 homes. Is financially independent. Lives in Houston, Texas. I asked her, "Do you want to one day get married again?" She said, "Well, maybe, but if I get married, he's going to be a BMW." I said, "BMW? Why would you want to marry a car, Sir James?" She said, Sir James, my mother love each other. She, in a nice way, by the way. My mother said, "Well, no, I mean a BMW isn't a black man working." If I get married again, it's going to be a BMW, a black man working. I don't want no broke people in my life. Okay? So my mother is financially independent. She worked a job. But she made proper decisions. My dad owned his own business for 54 years and made more than he spent and wouldn't listen to reason, and we lost everything, including a gas station and an 8-unit apartment building, a nursery, our own home, and ultimately I had to take care of my father the last 10, 15 years of his life, which I was proud to do, but my dad should have been able to give me assets to pass down to me, not me giving him subsidies to keep him alive. And this is the problem in our communities. This is what mainstream communities do differently. They build assets and pass it down from generation to generation. You have poverty being passed down from our communities from generation to generation. Here's something in my new book. Out of love, we pass down bad habits from generation to generation. Out of love, we pass down bad habits from generation to generation. It's what we don't know that we don't know that's killing us, but we think we know. It's what we don't know that we don't know that's killing us, but we think we know. And out of love, we are passing down. Ignorance can be passed down with love. Financial illiteracy can be passed down with love from family. Do you know there are parents that are pulling their kids' credit and using their kids' credit to go get them an apartment building? They're ruining their kids' credit at like 4, 5, and 6 years old, destroying their opportunity for life because they're jacked up. So So we're moving. So the first thing we do is pull your credit with your authority. We want to empower you. We don't want to solve problems for you. We want to teach you how to fish, not give you a fish. You can do for yourself. Then we get your credit score up 30 points with you by dispelling the errors. Then we go one step beyond that and start resolving conflicts on your report. And maybe I'll do, if you want me to, I'll do a whole piece on credit. Maybe have one of my financial coaches with me doing that from Operation Hope. But we can get your credit up 30 points, 50 points, 80 points, 100 points, 120 points between 1 month and 2 years. And then you got your life back. And everything changes when your mentality, when you got a 700 credit score. I can't explain it to you differently, but it affects the endorphins in the right side of your brain, how you see yourself, how you see the world, and it makes you optimistic, it makes you hopeful, it changes your role models, it changes your environment, and then you start wanting to hang around people who are aspirational, and guess what? You end up in a 700 credit score community. If enough people in your family do that, either your household changes, and either your block changes or you change your block. Either your block changes their mentality, or you're going to move to another block, another neighborhood where people think like you. Get it? So let me now switch to 500 credit score neighborhoods. Here's a 500 credit score neighborhood: urban, black and brown, and rural, white poverty. Now I'm going to explain to you why it's so important to vote today, and why so many of our white brothers and sisters who live in rural white America, where the economy stepped away from them 50 years ago in the Industrial Revolution, where you could make a middle-class income with your hands. And now you got to make it with your head, but they didn't go to get any more education. They thought the economy was going to come back in those small towns. We didn't go back to them to help them revive those small town economies. Shame on us. And as a result of that, they're upset. They're pissed off today, and they're voting with their feet and following nutcases, because this is what causes rational people to act irrationally, is bad economics. When your pocket is hurting, everything else gets a headache. And so black and brown poverty and rural poverty, white poverty, now have the same thing in common. And my people and friends in the Middle East, I want you to think about what I'm about to say. My friends in Africa, think about what I'm about to say. My friends in Europe, think about what I'm about to say. My friends in Latin America, think about what I'm about to say. Here's poverty: a check casher next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a title lender, next to a liquor store. Sound familiar? Look familiar. You can see that in every community where there are problems. Outside of a military base, they're lined up. There are more check cashers in the state of Alabama there are more payday lenders in the state of Alabama than the entire nation combined. Hello? So like second or third poorest state in America. There are more check cashers in America than there are Starbucks. These folks are preying on you, and we don't even see it. So we're going to get upset about a police officer beating somebody's rear end and get 10,000 people out to march. But when you're being robbed in broad daylight in your neighborhood, we say nothing. And this has to stop. This is why I need a new movement in the suites, not the streets. Civil rights on top of civil rights. And this is why when you see high illiteracy rates, 47% illiteracy, I believe, in Chicago, 50% illiteracy in parts of Detroit. This is America, folks, where you have a 98% literacy rate, but these communities have high homicide rates, high school dropout rates, low college attrition rates, low employment, high unemployment, high homicide, I already said homicide, high crime rates. Everything negative lives and sits in a 500 credit score neighborhood. You want to blow your mind? Get a map of the most tragic zip codes in America where all the bad stuff happens, and see if you can overlay that with a 500 credit score, average credit score. I guarantee you can. So that means that that's not a value judgment on us. That means that financial wellness is tied to emotional wellness and human wellness, and even that parking meter that you'll see when you go to work today, that inanimate object with no emotions and no feelings, that parking meter has figured out capitalism. Isn't that right, Sir James?
That's right.
That parking meter has figured out capitalism. It's making money for somebody of the city, and it ain't saying nothing. They don't even have an opinion. Even the parking meter has figured this out. People who say, oh, capitalism is evil, there's something wrong with you. See, this is why you're getting taken advantage of. No. Your barber's a capitalist. Huh?
All right.
Your manicurist is a capitalist. I went and got my nails done last night. My manicurist is a capitalist. The lady taking care of your bad kids, the daycare, she's a capitalist, right? Or he. Everybody, if you're going to work, you are a capitalist. You're taking capital, human capital, and getting a return on that capital through the skills you bring to work. Don't hate on capitalism, hate on greed, hate on bad intentions, bad capitalism. There's good selfishness and bad selfishness. Good selfishness is where I benefit and you benefit more. Starting a nonprofit, raising children, whatever, that's good. That's good capitalism. That's good selfishness. Bad selfishness is where I benefit and everybody else pays the price for it. Drug dealing, pimping, crime, abuse, homicide. That's bad selfishness and bad capitalism. That's somebody running a big business, making millions of dollars, and you're taken advantage of, like these payday loan lenders and such. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to these payday loan lenders. I'm not going to picket them. I'm not going to drive them out of business. I'm not going to call them names. Nope. I'm going to educate you. I'm going to believe in you. I'm going to empower you. We're going to get this page up to 50 million views, then 100 million views, and that means about 20 million likes and followers, and that means on average 5 million or 8 million views of these videos. And we're going to start changing and rewiring and upgrading the software of our lives. We're going to have a movement in the suites and not just the streets, and I'm going to put these fools out of business in broad daylight using the free enterprise system and legally without marching. I'm going to set you free and set us free by telling you how to do better and know better so you can do better and take your life back. And when your credit score raises and your friends' credit score raises, and when your neighborhood's credit score raises, and when you have 680 and 700 credit score neighborhoods, then that fool goes out of business because he's got no more customers. Boom. And that's civil rights. What did Dr. King do in Birmingham, Alabama? Birmingham bus campaign. He told everybody to get off the bus. I love this quote. I refuse to finance my own oppression. I refuse, he said, to finance my own oppression. Didn't get mad at him. Didn't call him names. Said, no, my color is, the money in my pocket is green, just like the Caucasian person. Why am I going in the back of the bus and you're going in the front of the bus? It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to my constituency. So we're not mad at you. We just gonna get off the bus and have our own taxi system. They created their own taxi system, paid each other to get rides, basically the Uber of 1950, paid each other to get rides around town, right? Created their own economy, created their own situation, not hating on anybody. And the bus company went broke in 9 months. Boom. The bus company went broke in 9 months. We didn't have to get upset with nobody, didn't have to throw a brick, didn't have to call nobody names. No. We hit them where it hurt, in their pocket. That was bad capitalism, all right? A private business refused to be dignified to all of their customers. And until they allowed every customer with a green dollar bill to come through the front part of the bus, we just didn't ride the bus. Stop letting yourself be pimped. Stop pimping. Stop letting yourself be pimped. Stop being angry. Stop getting emotional. By the way, I'm not being emotional or angry. I'm being passionate. I want you to have a response and not a reaction to life. I want you to take your life back. This is John Hope Bryant going to vote before the voting polls close with me running my mouth out here. Sir James turns the air conditioning off again to get me out of his car. Y'all tell this man to be treating me better.
It's all about love.
He's a good brother, right? Let me tell you how Sir James raised his kids. He said, I love you, my kids, my children. I tell you what, you got 2 choices. I can put you through school, I'll put you through a wall. Isn't that a bad brother? Military man, a drill sergeant in the Marines. We owe him a debt of service. I love you all. You're unbought, unbiased, coming you straight and no chaser. This is a Civil Rights Straight Talk series with John Hope Bryant, founder, chairman, CEO of Operation Hope. This movement is real. It's coming to a community near you. We're opening an office every 10 days or so for Hope Inside. Go like Hope Inside Network. Find the Hope Inside office near you. We're raising credit scores 120 points in 24 months and helping you become a homeowner, small business owner, an entrepreneur, to take your life back. The guy who made this suit, Ryan Taylor, and the shirt I'm wearing, we put into business as an entrepreneur, and he's now creating jobs and creating opportunity and taking care of his children. You can do the same. You can do better. This is the civil rights movement, unbought and unbossed, and nonpartisan, coming at you straight with nothing but love. Out. I'll answer the questions later. Hey, Corliss Shaw, French Creole, love you too. A.R. Harris Logic, that's a bad brother there. That's right, Sir James, he said, about raising his children. Cassandra Tomlin Johnson, that's Peace King. David Buckley, late getting in. Hear you later. You can go back and read it, watch it on replay. By the way, I'm gonna start scheduling some of these sessions so you'll know when I'm doing it in advance. Carol Rivers, let's see here, Yolanda Frazier. That's how you get even. Don't talk about it, be about it. Hey Yolanda, I hope I made your life better this morning. She told me I missed the morning. She needed her morning coffee. Will Omer, yeah, she told me get on it. Where are you? I need my morning coffee. Where's the video? French Creole, A.G. Badley, boycott the commercial side of Christmas and don't buy turkeys this year. That will hurt. Don't do that. Don't boycott somebody just to be boycotting. I said, don't be angry, right? Just the best success is living well. Don't be angry at somebody. You may actually put your mother out of a job who works at the turkey factory because you're trying to boycott turkey. See, don't riot. You actually destroying the last few jobs you got in your neighborhood. Don't be stupid, right? Don't boycott people who ain't trying to hurt, who are not hurting you. Don't, in fact, support people who are giving jobs in your community. Let's be thoughtful, intelligent people. All right. Love you much. I'm out.